Hi there, this is walking and talking. And now I decided to make my task much more difficult. So instead of just walking in the street, I would like to walk on railroad. And so I don't just need to talk, but I also need to to keep balance in order to stay on the line. I think it's really amazing to to have such sort of bizarre practice because immediately there's what would you call it? A metaphor? Yeah, it's a good metaphor. So when I'm going on the line, I'm going online. Wow. So yeah, it's really important to to pay attention where you put your foot, and the same thing may be said about your speech and language. So oftentimes when you start talking, some sort of an improvisation, when you don't know what to say, but you hope to find it while in the process of talking, in the process of open thinking, or whatever you may call it. So what's really important is to step to keep some to follow some certain line, because since you since you go aside, you just lose the balance. Wow, music. So now it's like, yeah, no, it will be super easy if now I learn to to focus on both, on walking and talking. It's like in walking and talking. When I'm doing this practice, it's like walking doesn't make any sense. What's really important is talking, and talking is too hard, and walking it's almost I don't pay attention to it at all. But now it seems that my consciousness is divided into two parts, and one part is focused on walking on the line, because it's really like whoa, what I'm doing right now, it's like 50% of my attention is directed on the process of walking, and only 50 I may devote, or dedicate to talking, and it makes my talking much. But the point is that now I don't talk about anything but the process of walking. Since my attention is here in the process of walking, all my talk is also here. I don't talk about egoism, even though it's the topic which I wanted to discuss before I turn on the camera. I don't talk about anything else. I'm just completely, fully focused on this, on my movement, on my motion. And the same can be seen in in any given moment. So when you talk about something, it doesn't matter actually. It's like it's really important where you are, but not only in a physical world, but also in your thoughts. Yeah, I guess it's really important where you are. So if you go, for example, on the line and your attention is focused on the line, you may support your your actions with your speech, and it helps you pay more attention. And now it's like, for me, it's like natural. So I'm going on the damn line, and yeah, it's and talking, and it's easy. I don't feel now it seems natural. I don't feel any anything which may distract me, and I'm almost ready to talk about egoism, but okay, it seems that I need to, to forget about what I'm doing and to pay attention to what I'm thinking. And if I learn like to talk while walking on the line, on the rail, when I then go and walk in the street, it will make the process like at least 50% easier. So then I will be able to concentrate on my thoughts well, better. Yeah. But now again, I need to learn how to shift my attention from the process which I'm involved in, that's walking on the line, to the process of my thoughts. And my thoughts, yeah, I would like to talk about egoism today. And after yesterday's talk about metaphysics, I decided that it's pretty interesting how far I can go in describing all this. There are some channels on YouTube like actualize.org, and there's people who practice this kind of speech. So for example, this Leo, he talks all the time about non-duality, and while talking, it's like he repeats all the time the same thing for the last like 3 years. He haven't said anything new. Like when first he discovered this idea, like not discovered, but when he, let's say, fully realized what it is, he started talking about it, and now it seems that he is talking about it all the time, like uses different versions, different concepts to put, but yeah, he uses different concepts but talks always about the same thing. And since he uses different concepts and wrap his head around all these concepts, but his main concept is non-duality, and he talks about it over and over again, he just learned to talk about it so good. I mean, when you watch him, it feels as if you're, not always, but sometimes it feels that you're a fucking idiot and he is a super smart person. But actually it's not the truth, because if you try to do something like that, if you pick up some topic, let's say whatever it may be, it's just anything that you like. Let's suppose that you like walking on the line. No, it's irrelevant. Okay, let's suppose that you like, for example, what it may be, learning language. It should be something interesting. It's not just some stupid thing. It should be something really interesting and, well, what it is. Art. Okay, yeah, let's suppose it's art. And you just start talking about art every day for, or as it is in this case, like every week for 2 hours. So today you start talking about art, next week you start talking about art, and every week you're talking about art for 2 hours without criticizing yourself and without without just criticizing yourself. So your task is to talk for 2 hours and you don't care about the result, or at least you care about the result, but if you can't say anything, you still must continue talking some meaningless shit. But again, as you can see, in a few, just make a thought experiment. In a few years, if you do it every week over and over again, and if you study something that can help you to develop this, your speech and your understanding of the subject, then you be able to talk about it so smartly. What's time? Just 9 minutes. Yeah, seems I got to the point when I need to stay away from the railroad, because there's no way to get through the main road. Okay, so if you talk about it all the time, you eventually learn to be just excellent and brilliant in this topic, because every time you'll discover something new, since it's an improvised speech, every time you will be more confident in what you are saying. Because imagine you start talking about art and first you don't know what to say, you're or you know something, but it's like it's almost nothing. But then after you get the first self-talk, first of all you'll discover that in your brain you are thinking about art more and more. So because since you talked about it for a couple of hours, then you'll certainly think about it even more to understand it better. But if you do it every week, just imagine that you are talking about the art every week 2 hours, and then the next week you know that you must talk about it again and again. So you start studying it more, and well, you become more and more confident, and eventually after a year you will be able to talk about art with anybody as as long as you like, and you will do it better than anybody else. So the point is that it's kind of learning. And well, in my case, I'm not find the subjects really interesting, like metaphysics and non-duality and all these all these things related to God, because as I said last time, I consider myself basically as a scientifically minded person, such a person that this man Leo criticizes all the time without being able to understand really what does it mean, because he thinks, oh, I understand everything, you don't understand anything about consciousness, and all your materialism and all your way of looking at the world, you are just brainwashed and you are in a stupid paradigm. And he talks a lot about this spiral dynamics, this stupid theory, and in this spiral dynamics he put it as on the top he put some spiritual mindset when people when they're non-dualists, let's say. And well, of course you can turn it upside down with I think I can turn it upside down in a couple of weeks if I just continue talking about it over and over again, because really it's all about your personal perspective. And I don't like to talk about too much because for me it's not so interesting. I like to think about it, or maybe I'm just deceiving myself. Maybe it's interesting for me, but I'm afraid again to say something. I'm afraid that if I start thinking about it aloud, I'll discover that I know about it not too much, and that my, it seems in my mind I have some picture or ideal. When I think about myself, I think, oh, I'm super, what's the word? I will forget it. I have a lot of knowledge about it. And it's not just knowledge, it's also understanding. It's kind of, whatever. But when I start talking about it, I see that my knowledge and my understanding and my real understanding is different from, well, it's not different, it just takes more time. The point is I need to practice more. And it's all about practicing. Because when I watch like philosophy, basically it's all philosophy. When I watch some philosophical content, I understand like everything. So I don't have a problem with understanding some philosophers. Yeah, and especially when I watch Leo, for example, I not just understand. I feel as if like he's playing some sort of clown, because like even if, well, why am I started talking about this guy Leo Schleo? Actualized. Yeah, there was some. I was walking on the railroad, and and then I got to the point when it's really important to to shift your attention from from what you're doing to what you're thinking. And somehow I shifted. Yeah, I started talking about metaphysics, and I said that there's art, and if you start talking about like whatever you like, at some point, after you talk about it for a long time, if you do it every week, you will think about it more, you will learn about it more, and eventually you will be able to talk about it, you know, brilliantly. But the point is that it's just one thing. So in my case, I don't like to study one particular thing and to put all of my attention into that and to, you know, to be... Okay, it seems I need to finish recording myself here, and I'm going to practice myself to on railroad. Yeah. Okay, it was embarrassed a little bit. That's fine. That's fine. Not a big problem. Okay, let's stop here.